sound fields, light fields, prematter liquid light, into different densities, right down to a density. So we're living in a density 1 universe, trapped in here by manipulations that have been caused through other energies that flow and control us virtually. We are controlled by thoughts that come and are given to us through systems of thought. When we came in like a child standing in front of the mirror, we weren't fully aware of the impacting thought system of this world that completely fills our mind with vain imaginations and everything like that. We came in endeavouring to incarnate that light of Christ that we are into the matrix of the flesh, but the flesh sort of overrides it, and we can't get the quanta up to overcome that overburden. And so, it's amazing really, when we realise that we're here to transfigure the flesh, because the flesh is a part of consciousness which is shut down from God's source, it's disconnected in a large degree. And we're here to totally overcome it so that we can run the energy of Christ, light, through the fabric of time and space, through all generations that have come into separation from God's source. Because we're sharing that mind of separation. All of us are sharing that mind of separation here. And there are parts of consciousness that are on their natural evolution of consciousness cycles and return to God's source through natural process or organic return. There are parts of consciousness that are not limited by the imposition of the impacting thoughts of a community that inundate us with their own ideas. We have free will choice in other dimensional forms of ascension, and we always are totally responsible for the repercussions of our own thoughts. But other systems of thought are much more advanced in as much as they allow everyone to have their own thoughts, but they all have sort of agreed not to have thoughts that go beyond the bound of the law of one, where they might cause suffering in a mind of separation, or even start a mind of separation. So there are parts of consciousness that are functioning in the true fashion, and they would be coming from source, stepping down into time, reaching the end of their experiences here on certain time cycles of evolutional consciousness, of building of the true DNA strands or memory, building true memory of experience, and then returning back through higher dimensional ascension. There are many structures like that are around in the multiverse, in the many parts of expression of life. We can't say how big or how high or how wide life itself is, or where it fits in space-time. We know space-time is a projection of mind, and I'm beginning to understand that that's a part of our playground where we do experience things, and it's like if it's under the control of your own mind, it's beautiful. But if it's under the control of separated mind thoughts that have trapped us here, against our own free will, even though separation was a part of our idea, we've shared it as a mass mind. It's like it's time to wake up and say, if my body is a vehicle, it's a teaching and learning device to teach me something. It's a biological feedback loop to God's source or to my awareness. If that's what it is, I could teach myself how to ascend out of density, out of the corruption, out of decay, out of depravity. I could lift myself out of gravity. And I could find the harmony that seems to exist between levity and gravity, between the lifting up and pulling down. I could see that harmony, a balance of frequencies, of electrotonal frequencies, of light and sound, magnetic, electric. I could see that the computation of my biological computer in full union with the God mind could give me full power over myself, and I could just ascend from here. And I was saying the other week that there are many parts of us that have stepped down here. I mean, for me to have stepped down here, for you to have stepped down here, for any one of us to have stepped down from that high frequency of God mind, where there's no real frequency, it's just like a solid state knowing. God mind is just like a solid state knowing. For the part that I know myself as that God source, part of that God source, to step down, or for you to step down into this density, you would have had to step down many individual members members, as you step down through harmonic universe 4, 3, 2 and 1, you'd have many representatives of yourself on this dimension here. And some of them may be caught in systems of planetary life that are caught in the mind trap of separation, and other parts of you might not be caught in a harnessing field and your energy is being harvested into another structure which is drawing your energy off. You may be totally free to evolve back up through organic processes of natural consciousness evolution back to God's source. So all of those parts of yourself, you don't know them all in your mind at the present time, and yet they all are parts of your consciousness. They are existing on this dimension, they're existing on the next harmonic universe up, the next harmonic universe up, the next harmonic universe up, in the light fields, the sound fields, in the inner cores of creation. They're in and through all levels and parts of structure as living, flowing, communicating chords of love and light and peace and joy and liberty. Everything's there. You've got many, many parts of consciousness from which you have been disconnected. And they are the parts of your mind that already know every part of your journey that you've already made. You've already done it. In your ascension down here, you have all that knowledge. You have all the knowledge of the God mind within higher parts of your own structure of consciousness from which you have been disconnected. So part of my regenerative process has been to ask, I asked Jesus, I call him Yeshua, or, it's like the only begotten Son. I ask the only begotten Son, the one that is begotten of the only one, which is everyone. Begotten means not born of the flesh, but begotten or offsprung from the God mind. So I asked that one, and Jesus being the first, the head of the atonement, I asked this one through the power of the Holy Spirit. And also, what I'm learning is there are many, many structures of consciousness that are like race lines of beings ascending back to God's source and already in God's source that can communicate down through the levels to reach us as we would cry out from the cellular structure of our own anatomy, as we would cry out with sincerity from those parts of ourselves, as we would make an appeal to lift up energetically part of ourselves to almost like project a true intention into higher dimensions to make a connection. And this is what we've been learning to do, many appeals from within ourselves. It's like there's an inspiration comes from within you, then a revelation comes from above you, and then a transformation comes within your experience. So it seems to be like an inspiration. You're putting an appeal up to a higher part of your consciousness. Then there's a revelation comes down to you. It's like a download of energy containing information. And then there's a transformation on this plane where you're making a greater connection and a union with higher parts of yourself. There are many, many, many parts of yourself. If you were to look at many people talk about the 144,000. That's like a biblical quote, a biblical figure. In the 12-tree grid that I talk about as the Kathara grid or the Christ grid, there are 12 dimensions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we're in 1, 2, 3. And so on the dimension 1, we have 12 sub-harmonic frequency bands in dimension 1. In dimension 2, we have 24. It has the original first 12 plus 12 of its own. On dimension 3, there's 36. So it has the original dimension 1 and 2 and its own. So it's got 36. Well, you go up to dimension 12 and you've got 144 sub-harmonic frequency bands spanning the whole range of densities. And then it goes up again into different light and sound fields of communication, and right into the inner core of the atom and through creation point door, through into the antiparticle universe. So you can see two universes like really of yourself. Your body has an exact replica of itself in the same space-time, spinning in a different directional flow at a slightly advanced time cycle, and you're breathing in and out through the angular rotation of particle spin through the inner core of the gateway of the atomic structure. You're continuously breathing in and out through those two parts of yourself.